Welcome to another transformative episode of Awaken Her, the podcast that takes you on a journey of faith, resilience, and unapologetic reinvention. I'm Aji Michael, your host, and today we are diving into a topic that is as raw as it is empowering: starting over. This episode is for you if you have ever felt stuck in a toxic job, relationship, or life situation and wondered, is it too late to begin again? Here's my spoiler alert. It's never too late. In today's episode, we'll talk about the messy and sometimes scary, but deeply transformative process of starting over. So if you're drowning in debt right now, or maybe you're stuck in an unfulfilling career, or perhaps you're trapped in an unhealthy relationship, this is your invitation to rise. I'll share stories of women that I've worked with who dare to hit the reset button, the lessons they've learned along the way, and I'll also share my journey as well and give you actionable tips to make your fresh start successful. But before we begin in today's episode, I've got two announcements. One, the launch of the Confidence book was fantastic. And guess what? We made it onto the bestseller list in two categories: women and spirituality and Christian leadership. I am overjoyed right now. The reviews and feedback shared by women at the event were incredibly touching. Look, I am grateful and honored to have committed to writing this book. So I want to encourage you to head over to Amazon to grab your copy of Confidence, Reclaim Your Power One Step at a Time. And I cannot wait to read your thoughts and, of course, your reviews. The second announcement, I've got an exciting news. My program, Who Do You Want to Become, will be available this February on Friday the 21st. Woohoo! So it will be a self-taught program, allowing you to learn at your pace as we are in different time zones. The cost will be £55. I want to make this program affordable for everyone who needs it. Plus, I love number 5. So head to our website, hislady.org/life edits to learn more about the program and also to join the wait list. All right, so let's dive into today's topic, starting over. All right, now let's start with this truth. Starting over is not a failure. It's an act of courage. Yes, I want you to soak into that. Starting over isn't a failure. It's an act of courage. Whether it's starting a business all over again, or rebuilding, buying a house, or starting a project all over again, it's an act of courage. Oftentimes, people do not want to start over. Rather, they kind of fake it and fake it and fake it and fake it simply because of, they feel that starting over comes with shame, or they are attached shame to starting over. I remember when I realized I couldn't continue in a life that didn't align with my values. I let go of my career safety, walked away from relationships that drained me, and confronted the crushing weight of financial mistakes. My dear, starting over felt like stepping into the unknown. But it was also the most liberating decision I've ever made. I used to have a colleague, let's call her name Amaka. I remember she was deep in debt, overwhelmed by shame and fear. And you see, I noticed that she was kind of like usually withdrawn and kind of leading a completely anonymous life. Even outside work, you will never know what Amaka was up to, where she was over the weekend, while people were talking about, oh, we did this, we did that. She was just kind of like glued, to her desk. So one day, I offered to give her a ride to the nearest bus stop. And me, I love having conversations. So we ended up having a long and profound conversation. She was drowning in debt. She couldn't share with anyone and didn't even see a way out. So I shared my story with her, and she made the courageous decision to seek financial counseling. She started a side hustle and rebuilt her credit. You know what I want to hear? The good news is that today she is debt-free, and what began as a side hustle has become a thriving business. I can tell you many women that I've known that they've rebuilt their life, transformed it entirely. I also remember a senior friend of mine, Tola. She spent 15 years in an unfulfilling financial career until one day she realized it was time to awaken the woman who had been crying inside her. She took night classes, pivoted into a field she loves, one that is completely different, and now she wakes up excited for work. Regardless of what your situation is right now, and you're thinking, Aji, what you're saying right now feels like a fairy tale, I'm here to tell you that it isn't. I want to give you 5 actionable tips to start over. And the first tip I will say is acknowledge the truth. You need to be honest about what is happening and what is working and what is not working. You cannot heal what you don't face. If you are in debt, you need to face it. I've known people who have worked on their finances, and the pattern is the same. They put letters aside, put email. They will not open the email. You cannot continue to put all of the letters aside and not open them. You have to face it. You have to deal with them. Acknowledge the truth if you're in debt, for example. If you are not enjoying your work, acknowledge the truth. Sit down with what is true to you. If you are in a toxic relationship, ask yourself, why am I enduring? Why? You need to acknowledge this is what is happening to me or with you right now. And the second tip, so once you've acknowledged the truth, the second one is, the truth of the situation right now. Begin to visualize your future. I love visualization. And what future do you see? For example, if you're working, we've talked about death now, financial struggle now, and career. If, you're struggling in a job right now, you're in a toxic work environment, pick your ideal work. What does it look like? Who are your colleagues? Who is your boss? Who do you work with? What are you doing? How do you feel? Embody that. Begin to visualize what it looks like. This is the time maybe you want to have a vision board to start with, or cut pictures of some of those things, put it back beside you every night, and begin to just soak into those feelings, onto those pictures. If you've been learning if you know how to do meditation, spend some time every morning and evening just thinking about this, your ideal work environment, your ideal colleague. Who do you see around you? You can put as much detail as you can in this visualization exercise. And more importantly, what does that make you feel? Feel into this visualization. Feel into that moment. Go into the future, your future work, your future spouse, your future you. Go into it and feel into it. Borrow from your future and enjoy it. It's really important. Who do you want to be a year from now? And every of this experience, write them down. The good news is that Who Do You Want to Become program is starting this February 21st. So you might want to head over to eastlady/live edits to join the waitlist so you get to know when the program goes live. The third tip I want to share with you is take small steps daily. The reason why people don't want to do, because when you think about change, when you think about dealing with debt, is you feel overwhelmed. I know this for sure. You've been there. When you think of walking out of relationship, you ask yourself, where do I start? Where do I begin? I know. But the thing is, break big goals into manageable actions. When you break all of this into small steps, it becomes easier for you. And all the small steps that you take, celebrate each milestone. The first step might be open all of the letters, open the emails. And once you do, group the letters if it is debt. Another step might be research into, okay, do I need to go to my Citizen Advice Bureau? Who do I need to speak to? That's another step. That's courage, taking those steps. Book the appointment, visit, go, attend the meeting. Have that conversation and agree a payment plan. Another steps might be for someone, maybe you have a spare room you want to let out. People don't want to share that they're letting out a spare room because they feel that, they will think that, you cannot pay your rent or you cannot pay your mortgage. That's why you're renting out your room. But it's your life at the end of the day. You need to do what's best for you. So small steps might be for you to empty one room and tidy it up and begin the process of actually advertising the room on website where, you can have a roommate or a flatmate. That might just be the small steps. Now, those small steps, they've not paid off the debt, but that's a journey. Remember, it is progress, not perfection. That's the goal. Tip number 4, surround yourself with support. I mentioned my former colleague Amaka, who she didn't share this with. None of her friends knew what was going on in her life around her debt. And I know that is hard. Sometimes we don't want people to share our story or to talk about us in a negative way. I get that. But it's important for you to find a mentor, a coach, or a community like His Lady to cheer you on. So if you're not part of our mailing list, what are you waiting for? Head over to hislady.org to join our mailing list so you receive our Soul Sunday newsletter every Sunday afternoon to let your head down. Now, tip number 5 is forgive yourself and move forward. Yes, it's really important. The energy you put into rebuilding is really important. The energy you put into starting over is really key. So make sure that you release any form of guilt or shame over past mistakes. Your story isn't over. It's just beginning. My dear, starting over is humbling. It forces you to confront your fears, shed your ego, and embrace vulnerability. But it also gives you the advantage of experience. Every lesson you've learned up to this point is a tool for your journey going forward. So do not let fear or shame or guilt hold you back. Now, before we part ways for now, are you on our mailing list? If not, head to our website, hislady.org, to download our free Take Back Your Life Starter Kit. It's packed with resources to help you rebuild, renew, and rise. Ladies, starting over isn't the end. It's a bold declaration of your worth and potential. It's an opportunity to craft a life that aligns with your purpose and dreams. Remember, with God, all things are possible. You've got this. And I'm here walking this journey with you. Until next time, stay bold, stay beautiful, and awaken her.